Hi, my name is Robert Verbenet, and today I'm going to show you some of my wonderful code that defines the Sweetlight Studios website. Before we begin, if you haven't looked at the website or the YouTube trailer, I would like to recommend that you pause this video and do so now. Let's take a look at the source on GitHub. Start with the package.json file. It tells us that this is a React Redux single-page application, or SPA. It uses a group of packages for added functionality. One of the most important packages that I use is React Bootstrap. It allows me to place components within a grid system that automatically reorders the components and menu based on screen width. I have programmed in many languages and many frameworks, and my current passion is for using HTML5, CSS3, and ES6 within the React Redux Bootstrap framework. The static.json file tells us that when this app is built and uploaded, its static endpoints will be handled by a SPA router instead of individual web pages. It also directs the server to promote HTTP requests to HTTPS to help mitigate cross-browser scripting attacks and increase SEO ratings. One of the files that the public folder contains is index.html. It is the only HTML file used by the SPA, reduced to loading some simple resources and activating a single root div that will be composited into. The source folder contains most of the SPA's source code. The app.js file defines the primary components that will be composited into the root div of index.html by index.js. Notice that for the design of the SLS website, there are 5 major components: header jumbotron, nav menu, article router, footer banners, and blurb. I used React components to follow the HTML5 semantic elements typology because that makes it easier for other engineers to follow. Source index.css, the primary styling file for the app. Notice CSS transition animations, fixed positioning for shopping cart icon, as well as some CSS tricks of making adjustments using view height, view width, and view min, and centering by setting the left margin halfway across the screen, and then transforming translate by 50% of the component's width. Along with React Bootstrap, this styling allows the app to look fantastic on a great variety of mobile devices. Source index.js replaces the root div with the React component called app. It also wraps it with a router that can activate components based on Sweetlight Studios endpoints. It wraps the router with the Redux data storage coupled with Redux promise middleware. The middleware replaces promises returned by Axios calls to external websites with the actual JSON when it is returned asynchronously. The Actions folder in the source directory also contains an index.js. It contains a group of action creators responsible for internationalization, changing the language, as well as external endpoints such as airvisual.com for smog data, shopify.com to support online shopping, and wordpress.com to integrate external blogging information within the app. It exports message IDs along with endpoint calls that return the promises that cause the middleware to trigger JSON messages when the promises are fulfilled. The source directory contains a reducers folder that contains a group of simple reducers for supplying the data from the action creators to any components that are listening to the data. These reducers adhere to the single responsibility principle and are very simple, mirroring ES6 shorthand with ternary operation. There are 2 exceptions. The shopping cart reducer also saves its state into local storage so the user can put items into their shopping cart, leave, and return to find the item still there. The blog post count reducer gets its data from payload.headers because with version 2 of WordPress API, the count was moved to header data. The reducers folder also contains another index.js. It simply combines the reducers into the root reducer to make message distribution easy and define the different slices of data the container components can listen to. For example, the site config reducer.js returns configuration data defined in reducers index.js as site config. This is used by many of the container components, especially to define text in different languages. For example, the source directory contains a container folder that contains header_jumbotron.js. As I explained earlier, the header jumbotron is one of the 5 primary components in the SPA. Notice the use of ES6 class structure to simulate inheritance from React component, as well as jumbotron and an image from React Bootstrap to make this a mobile-first app. Notice the map state to props at the bottom, followed by the connect. This listens for changes from the article and site config reducers and maps the data to this router.props. Notice its use in render. Whenever a component is listening to a reducer and the reducer changes, the component is redrawn. This is what makes React fast, because it only redraws what changes and not the whole SPA in reaction to changes in the reducers. Blurb.js is also located in the Containers folder. It is the second of the 5 primary components and sits at the very bottom of the SPA. I invented the concept of bottom blurb to give added text information for articles that are primarily graphical, like mini galleries found on a photographer's website. They were also used to reduce text repetition in product descriptions. They are not used for text-intensive articles such as blog pages. They keep screen readers happy and increase SEO by giving spiders H1s and P text that they need. Footer_banners.js, the third major component, is located in the Containers folder. It defines what is going on in the bottom part of the SPA directly above the blurb. In addition to displaying information, it has the ability to trigger social site URLs and change the language of the whole app by passing a language parameter to the home page route. According to app.js, directly below header Jumbotron is the fourth major component, nav menu. It is probably easier to understand the structure by looking at site_config_en.json. You can see a group of menu items along with the URLs that will be passed to the router for the main menu items as well as for submenu items. All that nav menu along with nav menu items does is to convert menu selections to Suitelight Studio's endpoints, with one important difference. Take a look at nav menu item and notice the link container. This actually sends the endpoint to the router for processing. This brings us to the final and most exciting major component of the SPA, the article router. Article_router.js is in the Components folder and defines what is displayed in the middle section of the SPA by switching in and out all of the secondary article components contained in the Container Articles folder based on the router path. So for example, if it receives an endpoint of www.suitelightstudios.com/blog, or relative path of /blog, it will activate the blog article component. The secondary article components display all the different aspects of the website through their composited subcomponents. For example, the Loved Ones article is fairly simple, containing only a single subcomponent, Slick Carousel, to display an animated gallery of images. Notice the map dispatch to props and the following connect line that allows the component will mount lifecycle function to call the article mounting action creator. The dispatch at the end of the map dispatch to props sends the results of the action to all reducers. It is up to the reducers to filter the message so that any component listening to a reducer receives the correct information. Pricing collection cart is an example of a more advanced secondary article component. Notice that at the bottom it makes use of both map state to props to get configuration data as well as map dispatch to props to allow calling 3 action creators. It uses 2 lifecycle functions that support operations such as parsing Shopify collection data from the route. It contains a 3-column product subcomponent to display Shopify products in a grid, plus a shopping cart component to display a shopping icon and shopping cart. Subcomponents can themselves have subcomponents of their own. The shopping cart JS component itself has a shopping cart icon component, cart items, as well as being able to display an additional dialog box to display shopping cart information. No matter how simple or advanced components are, they still follow the compositional components design, requesting data through action converters and receiving map data from reducers. Embedding a Shopify store within a website instead of the other way around gives you more freedom, increases SEO and online sales by allowing customers to buy now at the press of a button. The blog article is capable of displaying blog information using either the WordPress REST API version 1 or 2, based on the URL. Suitelight Studios gets the French blog information using version 1 because that is what WordPress.com uses. The Fetch's Google tool in Google Search Console reported that the Suitelight Studios blog, hosted on a free WordPress.com site, was not being crawled because WordPress.com blocks crawling sites accessed via the REST REST API. So I switched to version 2 with a paid site to mitigate the issue. The blog and blog post articles embed a WordPress blog within the website instead of the other way around. By not using iframes or a WordPress subdomain, SEO ranking increases dramatically because now all the blog information and backlinks are seen by the SEO web crawlers as belonging to the spa. I prefer WordPress over other blogging software because of the great plugins. The Yoast SEO plugin helps analyze the posts for readability and SEO and make suggestions for improvement. The Blog to Social plugin distributes the blog information complete with backlinks throughout the major social sites all at once. Contact Form.js shows how to easily create a contact form that is sent through FormSpree, allowing potential customers on mobile devices that may not support Mail-to an easy way to contact Sweetlight Studios. The Credits.js article shows how to responsively embed a YouTube video and animate a credit roll using reveal animations. Notice the use of ES6 map as opposed to Lodash to iterate through the credits. React components all follow a standard set of lifecycle hooks, so state changes can be used to trigger functionality. For example, the thank you component makes use of a constructor, along with a component will mount, component did mount, and component will unmount to start, stop, and limit the confetti on top of a Giphy animated GIF. Please take the time to play with the Sweetlight Studios website and review the source code on GitHub. Thank you for viewing this video. Your friend, Robert Bourbonnais.